Hi, it's Molly, and on today's episode of Coop and Garden TV, we will be turning this feed bag into this stylish grocery bag. Materials needed for this project include a pair of scissors, a sewing machine or a needle and thread, and a clean feed bag. I just washed mine off with soap and water. Before we start sewing, we want to make sure we cut all of our pieces first. To do this, you will first want to decide where you want the pattern to be on your bag. I want to include the chicken in mine, so I'm going to cut and make sure I leave enough for a seam allowance on the bottom. So I'm going to cut my bag about here and give myself a little bit on top so I can fold the top over. So I will cut about here as well. So, just an overview of how this is going to go. First, we're going to sew the bottom of the bag together, and then we're going to make our points on the side to give our bag a square bottom. Then at the top, we'll sew on our handles, and we're going to fold this over to create a lip to keep it secure. So now that we've cut the main portion of the bag, let's cut the straps. The easiest way to cut the straps is to take the piece that you just cut off of the bottom and cut 2 strips out of this. Make sure you keep in mind you're going to want to grip this in your hand. You can also keep the top of the bag for a template or to use as a handle. So now I have my 2 strips, and I will put a seam down the sides of these so that they stay together. But by using 2 sides of the bag, you have extra strength when you hold it, and it's not too thick. Before you start sewing your actual project, it's a good idea to use a test strip and test to make sure that your machine is set up correctly to sew on this feed bag. So I took a piece that I'm not using, one of the scrap pieces that we cut, and I'm just going to test to make sure my machine is set up correctly. I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So just as if I was sewing with actual material, I'm going to flip my bag inside out so that my seam will be on the inside of the bag, not the outside. So now that your bag is flipped inside out, you want to make sure that you're actually sewing on the right way. So check your pattern. I'm going to make sure my bag is folded in the center, and you can see that the sides line up, so I'm happy with that. And now we're just going to sew a seam all the way across the bottom, leaving about a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So I decided with the material my bag is made out of that I wanted to do 2 seams along the bottom just to give it a little bit of extra strength. This is totally optional. So now, check your seam, make sure you're happy with it. So now that your seam is across the bottom of your bag, you want to make the base square. If your feed bag is like mine and has this extra side, and most of them I think are, then the bag should do this on its own. You don't have to necessarily reinforce this, but if you'd like to, what I suggest is puffing out your bag and making it so you have those triangles at the corner. And you can do this by just putting your arm up inside of the bag and kind of pressing it down. And then either you can fold it onto itself over the seam on the bottom, or you can fold it up the sides of the bag. It really doesn't matter. It's just up to your preference. And then either at this point, you can sew along here. I would tack it by hand, or you could just duct tape this, and that's just as strong because of this material is just fine being duct taped. I'm just gonna duct tape mine because I have duct tape. And I'm going to tape mine up the sides. So then you flip your bag right side out, and you can see inside my duct tape. and my flat bottom. And this is how my bag looks from the outside. So now we're going to focus on the top of the bag. So what we want to do is I'm just going to roll the top over a little bit to add a little bit of extra strength to the bag. If you fold your bag and kind of crease it, it will stay for the most part. I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to sew a seam all the way around the bag. So set your bag aside, and now it's time to work on our straps. So I love the pattern on the top of my bag, so I'm just going to use this. And so I'm just going to take one seam down the side. So now, if you cut your own straps, you just sew one seam on either side. I have my straps on both sides, and I'm just going to clean up my seam a little bit, my edge. So bring your bag back. Now it's time to figure out your placement of your straps. And really, you can put them anywhere. You can put them on the outside, you can put them on the inside. It's completely up to you. I kind of like the look of mine on the outside, so I'm going to go for it on the outside. Great. So there's one side done, and now we're gonna be real exact here and just pop this on the other side in about the same place. Just like that. Now, once you cut off all your extra threads, your bag's all done.